Welcome to another video. It's your boy Jerry Mouse, and welcome to Imaginarium. Uh, Still working on my intros and all that good stuff, but all that said, you guys, I want to introduce you guys to Chapter 8, Renunciation in the Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And the reason why I'm excited about this episode, this chapter, is because it wraps up everything that we talked about in the previous 7 chapters into a nice clean bow, which is essentially this: how do we change our concept of self? How do we apply this information? When do we apply this information? Why do we apply this information? And he delivers it in this chapter about renunciation, which I actually would like to call revision. He doesn't say it outright in this chapter, but that's exactly what we're talking about. As y'all remember in the previous chapters, I'm not going to be able to do this going forward where I do a recap of the previous chapters. But for now, since we did that first week, which was like super powerful of getting into this first 7 days, let's just do a quick reminder. We have the I am, right? The one cause substance of all that is, consciousness being the only reality, the power of assumption. So this is where we truly define assumption and how it actually affects our concept of self. Desire. What desire is, it's the wellspring of action. It's what gets us using our imagination, and the truth that sets us free that, wait a minute, if I had an uncritical observation of the things that I'm doing and actually have imaginable control of my imagination and attitude awareness, I would then get into chapter 6 and 7 where I actually start to understand, what am I actually putting my attention on? Am I putting my attention on the things that I don't want, or am I putting my attention on the state of the wish fulfilled, which is the concept of self that we actually would rather be holding on to? And then, of course, we get into chapter 7, which is attitude. And attitude is your concept of self, if you will. But it's how you're showing up. Now, Chapter 8, Renunciation. This is about revision. This is where we really start to apply the law. Okay? All the things that we just talked about before in this chapter, that's when we actually get into how we just even begin to change ourself, change our concept of self, and change our outlook on the world with revision. So, without further ado, I want to dive in and read this chapter. It's a short one. It is my favorite chapter that Neville has ever written. Not my favorite. This is not necessarily my favorite piece of content as a whole. The Power of Awareness. I do love the Power of Awareness. It's what I recommend most people read first. But this chapter is probably my favorite of his writings. Let's just say that. All right, let's just dive right in. There is no coal of character so dead that it will not glow and flame if but slightly turned. Resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. There is a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. When you resist evil, you give it your attention. You continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination and give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be, rather than on things as they are. You give joy for mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances. You give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. In this quotation, the Bible uses the word tree as a synonym for man. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. You are a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. He is I am, as described in chapter 1. I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution. A religious feeling. I'll read that sentence again. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution of religion feeling. And you will say of your controlled imagination, behold this vine, I found it a wild tree, whose wanton strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in the vain expense of useless leaves, and nodded as you see into this clean, full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. By vine is bent your imagination, which in its uncontrolled state expends its energy in useless and destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned, by cutting away its useless branches and roots, prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating on the ideal you wish to attain. The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your own imagination. Yes, be pruned of all unlovely thoughts and feelings, that you may think truly, and thy thoughts shall be the world's famine feed. Speak truly, and each word of thine shall be a fruitful seed. Live truly, and thy life shall be a great and noble creed. That was chapter 8, Renunciation, in the Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Your imagination, it's been with you before you came here to this world, Earth. It's been with you always, never will leave you. And it's a wild tree. It's you've let it grow wild. And, sure it has its leaves, it has its flowers, it has its fruits, but it also has a bunch of weeds, and it has a bunch of twigs that are they're not producing anything for you. Some of them are treacherous, some of them are annoying, some of them just getting in the way of the beauty that you know is there. And these things come up in the sense of you want a new job, you want a car, you want to go on vacation with your family, you want to be free. Well, folks, right here in chapter 8, Neville writes exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give beauty for ashes. You're supposed to praise for the spirit of heaviness. you're supposed to prune the vine, and you're supposed to do it wisely. And how do you do it wisely? Well, if you've been keeping track since we started these videos, I ask y'all to listen as though you already are the person that you want to be. Because in fact, you actually already are the person that you want to be. I promise, you are. And as soon as you accept that you are that person, it will be perfectly reflected out in this world. The world already reflects what you're holding on to in consciousness as we speak, undeniably. You can test it. How would you test it? Try it out for size for a week. Go ahead and give beauty for ashes for a week. Go ahead and praise for the spirit of heaviness. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go and prune the vine for a week and see what happens. Don't go out there trying to change the world. Go within and see what you want to see and put your attention on exactly what you want to see. You heard bad news today? As you go to bed tonight, hear the good news. Excuse me. It's late at night. What time is it? It's bedtime. As you sit there and you sit in the silence, or you lay there in your bed and you go to bed at night, I want you to imagine that the day went exactly how you wanted it to have gone. Exactly how you wanted. Your breakfast was exactly how you wanted it to be. Your lunch was exactly how you wanted it to be. And your dinner was just as delicious. All the meetings that you had today or didn't have today that you would have liked to have today. The correspondence with your colleagues. The loving embrace of your spouse or your children. The vroom vroom of your car. Whatever it is. Positive diagnosis from your doctor or friend. Imagine for your friends even. That's what Neville is talking about here. Give beauty for ashes. Joy for mourning. Praise for the spirit of heaviness. Prune the vine. Think on things that are lovely and of good report. You hear bad news today. Hear the good news. My mentor, Mr. 2020, y'all should check him out. He would say, revise. Make the bad good, make the good great, and make the great fantastic. That's your challenge for the next week. And put it back into the comments and let me know what your thoughts are. If you stuck around this far, hi. Welcome to Imaginarium, the gym for your mind. And let's have some fun together out here in this YouTube space, shall we? You guys are awesome. Peace and hair grease.